Hello everyone, welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Molly and I do book content here on YouTube. I do a mixture of Christian and secular sort of books, and I genuinely read fiction, but you'll get bits of non-fiction as well. So yes, stay if you like my content, if you're new, and well, let's just get started, I guess. So today I am doing my February TBR. Now, all of these books, apart from one, I've not read before, so I don't know what's in them. But yeah, let's see how we get on. So I'm going to start with the ones that I'm doing for my yearly challenges that I am taking part in. So yeah, I guess I'll start with these, I guess. So I'm going to start off with the ones that I'm doing for Alma's yearly challenges. It's one challenge, but there's two different ones. So there is the centuries one, and then there is the decades one. And you can do one or both. I am going to try and do both. So I'm going to start with the decades one, and that is the murder of Roger Ackroyd. In February, we are in the decade of the 1920s, and the murder of Roger Ackroyd, which is by Agatha Christie, was written in the 1920s. So that's that. And it also means I'm reading a book on my Kindle officially. I have done others that I'll be talking about in my January wrap-up, but this is a book that I am officially using for challenges. The next book is to go along with a challenge, and that is the centuries one, and we are in the 20th century. Now, I am aware I could double up and use the murder of Roger Ackroyd, because obviously the 1920s, that's the 20th century. But I want to do something different because I want to read this book, and that is Meddling Kids by Edgar Cantero. This is, I think it's either a thriller or a horror, so I don't know the content, because this is, secular mainstream. But I really want to try it because it's based on Scooby-Doo, as I'm sure if any of you know Scooby-Doo, you can tell by the title. And also, if you don't look closely, the characters all look like the Scooby Gang. And obviously they've got a dog. So yeah, I want to try this. And see if I can finish it. We'll have to see. What with the whole horror and secular stuff. But yeah, this is in two timelines. So this is set in 1977 and then in 1990, both of which are obviously in the 20th century. So yes, that should hopefully go down well. We hope. The next book I am using is for Teresa's yearly challenge. She's Creatively Faithful here on YouTube, and she is doing the cozy reading challenge, again all year round. And a lot of them are like activities as well as possibly books. But the prompt I am going for is the second one, and that is the bedtime story. Now, she said to, read a bedtime story to your kids, but I don't have kids. Okay, I'm a single 28-year-old woman. I don't have kids. I have siblings, but they're all 20, so I'm going to go out on a bit of a limb, a bit of an educated guess, and go, they probably don't want me reading the bedtime story to them. I know I probably wouldn't. So I kind of changed it a bit, and I've gone down the short story route. And I also thought possibly novella, but I have changed my mind. I'm going to go with reading a short story from the Brothers Grimm collection. If you've seen any of my previous videos, you'll know I've used short stories for last year at some point in a monthly readathon. And that is basically what I'm going to do again. I'm just going to read one short story in this, and that will count as a bedtime story. Because also partly I've been using it as like a bedtime story for me, but not really. But also just because they're short usually, and so you could definitely use them as like a bedtime story style thing. Obviously that doesn't mean I necessarily recommend reading these to your kids necessarily, because these are the first edition ones, so obviously these will be a bit probably less likely to be appropriate for kids, but I'm not sure, I could be wrong. But I know obviously there are lots of fairy tales based on Brothers Grimm that are for kids, so, but yeah, anyway, that doesn't apply to me, so it's fine. But yeah, I'll be reading that, and I'll tell you what the short story that'll be on, and that'll be Mrs. Fox, like the animal Fox. So yeah, let's see what that's like. The next book is for Santel's, from Santel Reads All Day's yearly challenge, and for February it is Size. And so there's a funny story to this, kind of. I forgot that it was a shorter month for February. How I forgot, I don't know. It happens every year. Even in the leap years, it's still shorter than all the other months. But did I remember that? No. However, I did realise in time, thanks to Santel, because she was talking about her TBR for next month. And she, brought up that it was, shorter. And I was like, yeah, right. So, yeah, what I was originally going to do for that, I don't think I can do. I do kind of want to show it just in case, because I don't technically have that many books, and some of them are quite short, and one of them is a children's book, which I'll get to next. So originally I was going to go for size as page count, and I still am, and I was going to go for the big page count, and what I was planning to hopefully get done next month, is The Magic Mountain by Thomas Mann. This is a classic, and this is quite the chunker, and let me tell you, the writing is not that big, and fills up most of the pages. And yeah, so yeah, I'll tell you the page count so you could all gasp in horror like I did. And it is 716 pages, 716. It is quite the chunker. So when I realised that it's a shorter month, I was like, maybe not. Maybe leave it for another time. Now, I do want to say that I may try this anyway if I finish all my other books that are on my TBR. But knowing how slow of a reader I am, I'm not holding my breath. So don't either, okay? Don't hold your breaths. Don't do it. Anyway, weirdo. So the book I decided to go with instead is Every Heart a Doorway, by Shauna Maguire. This is the first book in the series, and it's a novella, so it's very short. So I've gone in the complete opposite, and all of her books in the series are novellas. It's like a novella series, which is interesting. So yeah, and I like the sound of it because Alexi from Alexandra Roslin on Booktube, secular mainstream Booktube, really enjoyed, and I think still enjoys this series, and it's very much, I don't know whether they call it a portal fantasy type thing or not, I don't know, but it's basically about these kids/adults who end up going into other worlds, kind of like Alice in Wonderland. So, she goes into Wonderland from our world, and it's basically about when they come back and how they adjust. So, yeah, I don't know if Alice in Wonderland is a part of this series or not, but it's in that sort of realm of things. They go to another world, spend however much time there, or whatever, and then they somehow come back, and it's characters, I guess, adjusting to, you know, life in the real world again, I guess. And I think Alexi has said that I think sometimes they end up going back to the world, and like, you know, they all react in different ways and all of that stuff. Anyway, it sounded really interesting, and I've been wanting to get to this book/series for a while now, and at least try it. I've got the first 3 as a little box set, because I want to try it, because it's secular. I don't know what the content will be like. So yes, and it's hardback. So this is what it looks like with the sleeve on. And let's show it without the sleeve. I kind of like it. It's giving me, oh wow, this is giving me like old vintage book vibes. I love that. So there it is. It's like a lovely sort of forest green, and there's a little picture there. It looks a bit like a rocket to me. Yeah, that definitely looks like a rocket. And there's the spine. So it's very simple, but it's lovely. And it's because of the symbol on the front with no words on the front. It's what makes me think of vintage books, because they don't always have anything on them. The next book is for Chantal again, but this is for her Year of More challenge to celebrate Ellen Montgomery's birthday, or yeah, I think it's her birthday. And so we are continuing with the second book from Anne of Green Gables, and that is Anne of Avonlea. This is a different version from the one I had last month, but I do have the first one in this version. But yeah, I've read this before. This is another reread, just like the first Anne. So yeah, I'll enjoy this. I've not read it with this cover though, so that'll be nice. I don't remember how I read it last time. Oh, I remember, yeah. So yeah, that's going to be exciting. And it's a lot bigger writing compared to the first book, which you'll see in the wrap-up. But it's a lot bigger, a lot more child-friendly, I would say. This next book I'm using for a couple of prompts from 2 different challenges. So I'm going to talk about the book first. And this is Brave by Mishu Andrews. This is the first book in the King David's Wives series, I think. Sorry, Brides, but you know. And this is book 1, and this is the story of Ahinoam, or Ahinoam, however you pronounce it. So yes, I've not read this, and I have read, I think, 1 biblical fiction, I think. And I was sold. Didn't take much, so yeah, it'll be nice to get back into the biblical fiction again. So this I'm using for 2 different readathons, well, yearly challenges. So I'm using this firstly for Katie's Paperbacks and Ponytails' Princess Bride-athon readathon challenge that she's doing, and this is to fulfill the prompt, a 5-star prediction. Now, to be fair, I could use that for pretty much all of these, but I thought I'd use it for this. So yes, that's what I'm using for this. No, that's the prompt I'm using this for. And then I'm also using this for Oceana's Read Christian Romance Yearly Challenge that she's doing again, and this is for new release. Because this came out in October last year, and I don't really have new releases that I can use, especially ones that I know are Christian romance. So yes, I thought I would go for this one because it took literally the last sentence of the blurb goes, "Is she brave enough to trust new friends and love Israel's next king?" I mean, says it all, doesn't it? So I'm expecting it to be more than just romance, but it still counts. Or at least I'm making it count. Okay, so that is all my yearly challenges. Now, I am also taking part in the Faebruary fairy tale retellings readathon, and I have not prepared for that because basically I'm just gonna read as many fairy tale retellings as I can, and I don't remember all the prompts for the fairy tale retelling, so you're welcome. So yeah, but if you are interested or you want to know more, I'll leave everyone down below anyway, and obviously I'll do the same with, you know, all of the other lovely ladies who I'm doing the yearly challenges with, I guess, and I'll do the same for the February readathon. And just to let you know, you don't have to always read fairy tale retellings for that readathon, but they do say you have to read at least one clean fairy tale retelling, but then the rest can all be other genres and stuff like that. But you know, just have a look at their videos down below. I'll link all of them, and I'll put the host's video down below, and the host is Taylor from Tales and Treats with Tay. That's a lot of T's. So yeah, she's hosting the readathon. I think that's about it. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else to really say for the TBR, so yeah, hopefully this will be a much shorter video, I'm hoping. Yeah, it's partly because I didn't prepare about the fairy tale retelling readathon, and part of that was on purpose, but also I could have at least told you the prompts, and I did not prepare to do that. I apologise, I'm sorry. But yeah, to be fair, I'm going to try and stick to the prompts, but I'm going to kind of read as many different ones as I can, and I will be prioritising Melanie Cellier's fairy tale retelling series. Is it the Four Kingdoms or something? I'll be prioritising that, so I will be reading the sequel. I've only read the first book so far. Well, and another book, but I'm not counting that one. Not for this anyway. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm just going to read as many as I can and hope they apply to a prompt. I might also try a different author as well, like maybe Kate Wittemeyer, because I know she's done at least 3 fairy tale retellings, maybe more. Or I might try someone else's. I mean, there's quite a few different ones. So yeah, that's my reading. I hope you all are having a lovely week so far, and that you all have a great weekend. And yeah, God bless you all and your reading and your life. And yeah, see you next week.